And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
Hey folks, I'm Tom Vasel, and today we're going to take a look at Incorporated. Now, this game, when I first saw the box, I was like, pass. It really doesn't look like that interesting of a game. The back of the box looks better. It shows me the board, and then I was like, ooh, it's a strategic game of economic welfare. I'm a CEO of a global corporation. Okay, that might not sound interesting to that many people, but 90 to 120 minutes? I was like, I'll give it a try. It's also interesting. It's a game for 3 to 4 players, and I would argue is really made for 4 players. 3 works, but 4 is a much better game. But what is this game? In this game, you are a humongous corporation. We're not talking like Boeing or FedEx or whatever those corporations are. We're talking about a corporation that is so big it buys and eats corporations like that for breakfast. Let me show you a little bit of the game itself. Each player is going to be one of 4 huge corporations: Old Money, Big Brother, Giant Squid, or Fortress Derivatives. Now this is really a big deal because each of them, one of them is only used in a 4-player game. Old Money is only used in a 4-player game. The number that you pick is going to determine the order you are in, and in fact, one of the players, Fortress Derivatives, that's their special ability. They are the first player. So what you pick is also going to determine where you start. You're going to control different areas, like for example, the green player controls tech in the United States, they control mining in China, and they control energy in Brazil. And each player is also going to get basically some control markers for the different countries. So there are various control markers for each of the countries. Smaller countries have fewer control markers, and by having these, it allows you to have a cube in that country, and they're going to allow you to do other things as time goes by. Now the whole point of this game is to get money. All right, whoever has the most money at the end of the game is the winner. And the game's going to take place over 4 turns. We know this because there's going to be 4 outlook cards drawn from a deck of outlook cards. And each turn is going to follow 5 specific steps. The first step you're going to draw is an outlook card, and it's going to tell you something here. So for example, the de-dollarization is going to go here. Now, one of the players, the Big Brother, they have the ability to look at these cards ahead of time, which isn't going to help on turn 1, but in the future turn, they're going to be able to look at those. And if there's any decisions to be made on this card, then that player is going to do it. So in this case, a square gets locked in the United States. There are some locked squares at the beginning of the game, India and China. So now the United States is a square locked, and perhaps they decide to lock energy, the Big Brother player. Interest rates go in this direction. So we look over here at the interest rates, and they move like this. Stress goes up by 1. The NATO loses 1 power. We got some tracks down here. And a minor country with stability 4 or less affiliated with NATO changes affiliation. And again, so maybe they'll say, all right, North Africa is now associated with the Chinese group. There's 2 major powers in the world, NATO and then the Chinese conglomerate. And at the beginning of the game, NATO has more power. And also at the beginning of the game, you're going to have some cards for payoff and things like that. So things are going to be set up here and ready to go. But the first thing you do each turn is you'll draw this and resolve it. Now again, this game is all about making money. And part of what's going to happen here are these payoff cards. There's a deck of payoff cards, and this is where the game is going to be revolving around these. Right now, we have 2% here, so there's 5 payoff cards. And so I'll turn these over, and there's heavy, tech, mining, energy, and finance. That means at the end of the round, for every heavy cube you have on the board, you'll get $1. For every tech, $1, mining, $1, energy, $1, finance, $1. It could be this, it could have been drawn. Then for every tech cube, they would have been worth $3. So you have to kind of keep track of that. And whoever has the most of each of the types of cubes is going to get $2. So how do you get to that point? Well, after the outlook, there's the investment phase. And each player is going to start with 2 executives, except the one player gets 3 of them. Unless you're playing with less than 4, then you get 3 each. When you put an executive out somewhere, I say, okay, we're now bidding on a Brazil control marker. So we're going to bid for one of these, and bidding starts at 3 and can go as high as you want around the table till everyone passes. Whoever wins it will take that control card, and they also get to place a cube of their color in an empty spot here. Then anyone who has a controlled card for that one can sell it. And this time the bidding starts high and goes low. So for example, let's say we bid 9 to get a cube in there. Well, now I can sell this one for 9 if I want to. The same person who won the auction can't sell theirs. And then maybe the green person sells there for 9, then they have to get rid of a cube. So you have to be careful. If you bid too high, you can allow someone else to sell for a cheaper price. Instead of putting up one of these for auction, you can also go here to the tax havens and just put one up for auction to other players. I might say, hey, I'm putting up a Euro Stocks one. Everyone else can try to bid for that one, and whoever wins that bid is going to buy it from me, and they get a cube here, and I take a cube of mine out. So after everyone's done with that, then there's competition. For each one of these that players can have for each country, they're going to put some of their cubes in that country. So let's say yellow has 2 United States, and blue has 1, and green has 1. And so we put them here. We're going to put them into different areas where you have these control markers. And then players are going to take actions. Now there are various actions that you can do with these cubes. You can pay $1 to move your cubes up to 2 cubes along different lines. This here, we'll go to the South Sea, so you can follow the arrows along the board. You can move 1 cube twice if you want to, but you have to follow the arrows, and you'll notice that some arrows only go one way. You can also attack. Attacking means I can move into empty spaces here and take control of those things. Without one of these, I can do that. Or I can even kill my opponent's cube for an attack. But you have here, any cubes here act as defense. So if the yellow one wants to kill this green one here, they would have to destroy this one first and then destroy that one if they wanted to do that and take those out. So players also could place their executives into an area, and that acts as a defensive there. So if someone's going to attack with cubes, they would have to attack that one first. And then finally, you can just pass, and you put out all your executives if you have any left, and they just go out in different places and defend. So this is going to change kind of how the world's going to look. Then players are going to go to the lobbying phase. Each player is going to, again, place these guys out onto different spots, either here or out on the board. You can have kind of basically a power play where you're going to try to change in each area of the board. So we have the green area, the blue area, different areas. There's a battleground area, and this area is not affiliated with either NATO or the Chinese. So you can go there and you can roll a die and pick which one it's affiliated with. When that happens, if your die equals this amount, and there's different things that affect the die roll, you can place it here. Now it's NATO. And so now the battleground is going to move to a Chinese area, and the only one left is Brazil. So this would be the next battleground. If the whole area is now NATO or all Chinese, then there's no more of that. But it can get worse. It can even go up to a point where a major country could fall, which would have big repercussions. Except the United States and China, those will not fall automatically. They'll automatically stay with their groupings. But you can go around and make a power play. You also have the opportunity to change loans down here. Now, there are loans in this game, or bonds, and you can take a bond in this game, and whenever you take a bond, you get the amount of money wherever this marker is on the track. So it can go all the way down to 11. It can go up to 20. Well, when you take it, you're going to get that much money. And when you pay it back, you can pay back that much money. So you're going to hope that you want to buy or get them high and sell them low if possible. But each additional one you take beyond the first, you will also lose $1. And these will cause you negative points at the end of the game because you haven't paid them off. Players can also send their executives here to tax havens, where when they put them there, they'll be able to put a cube there. Next time, they'll be able to send that cube anywhere on the board rather than have them start in different regions. And there's even a spot to take finance here to help you out. And so there's all sorts of things that are going to be happening here, and you're going to be able to move these different tracks around the board. This payoff track you're going to want to keep track of, because the higher it is, the higher the payoff is. But also, there's a possibility that there's going to be a huge crisis. You're going to be rolling a 12-sided die here, and you're going to want to roll less than the number of cards here, or greater than the number of cards. Otherwise, there's going to be a crisis, and stress is going to be set back down to 0. Stress will add to the crisis thing, and players will basically you'll discard these payoff cards, and the more crises there are, the more these payoff cards are gone, the less money everybody's going to get. Of course, one of the players is the one who picks which cards disappears, so maybe they want the crisis and want to manage it. And then at the end of each round, there's a payoff, and everyone gets their money, and we go on to the next round. That's a very generic overhead view. There's a few other things about moving these and a few other things that you can do here, but it kind of hopefully gives you an idea of how the game plays. Most money at the end of the game is the winner. Okay, you know I'm going to say it, but I hate paper money, and this game has paper money, so boo to that. The big stocks, or these cards, are really nice quality. They're thick, they feel good. I mean, they're really thick. They're like punch boards, so that's good. The meeples and the cubes, they're okay quality, but they do have some translucent effects. The board's really well done, though. I mean, the board is kind of, what's the word for it? It's like very Spartan to some degree, but it looks good. It's easy to tell where everything is. The cards themselves are not good quality, unfortunately, but they work for what the game is. And everything, I do like that the board itself explains how to do this stuff. The tracks are really good. The board is the best part of the game. I really wish the cover kind of matched the board to some degree. Well, this game is really good. I was really surprised about that. It is not a game for everybody. It's a game that I really enjoy, and several of the people I played it with also really enjoyed it, but it's an economic game, but it's also cutthroat. I mean, super cutthroat. I think the best way to describe Incorporate it is an economic Twilight Struggle. Twilight Struggle is a big game about the Cold War where you are controlling different areas on the board and you're fighting hot wars and the Cold War. And here it has a similar feel to it, but it's all economic. And each of the 4 powers has a very distinct feeling. For example, one of the guys goes first. The other one can see the outlook card ahead of time. I mentioned those to you. The other one, they get 3 executives instead of 2, which is a big deal. Gives them more maneuverability. And one guy rolls the crisis die roll and resolves crisis. So if there is a crisis, they're the ones who pick the cards that go away. All those have a strong just feel to them, but once you start the game, you're also kind of just flowing around. So you have the NATO versus the Chinese conglomerate. That's kind of interesting. The game doesn't say one is bad, one is good. It just says one starts strong, the other is not quite as strong, but that can easily flip with the blink of an eye. You have to deal with the outlook cards. So there are different outlook cards. For example, here's India growth. India becomes better, and a square unlocks. Japan has a fiscal collapse. China credit crunch. Asian economic miracle. Japan demographic disaster. A new Silk Road. So these things are going to happen, and they're going to change the basis of power, but you're also looking at these other cards that are coming out and saying, okay, finance is really big this round. I really am going to fight over finance. Oh, you know, what are the different ones here? The tech, for example, American tech. Tech's not that big of a deal right now, so maybe now I'll make my move for it and take over for it. The part of the game that's the longest is the part where you're moving these cubes around and attacking other cubes. And there's almost no dice rolling in this game. There's just the dice rolling for the crisis, or when you're going to try to basically destabilize one of the governments. But when you're attacking, it's 1 for 1. But you have to also sit there and go, how many times am I going to spend $1 to move my cubes? And go and take over these smaller regions. And the more smaller regions, the more money I might get in the future, or I might just control tech or control energy. And the game also has a bit of a narrative to it. This stuff makes sense, right? You are these huge things. I mean, I would despise these corporations in real life, right? Going around and treating human souls like something, but the game is kind of abstracted out. You're not seeing the havoc you're wreaking. You're just looking at it, and from an economic standpoint, it's almost educational, right? I'm learning about how these things work on a global scale. Bonds, you need to take them, right? You're going to need some money, but when's the best time to take one? Sometimes a really bad roll of crisis can wipe the whole board out, or wipe out the amount of money people are getting, and you have to kind of scramble and recover from that. I said this was at best as a 4-player game. I really do feel like that. With 3, you each have 3 executives, so it's actually, a 3-player game can be slightly longer because there are 9 executives placed on the board as opposed to Well, no, I guess there's always 9. There's 9 with 4 players too, 2 for each player but third. But it just feels a little bit more fulfilling. There's a little bit more back and forth. With 3, 2 people can get caught up in some power struggles and the third person can kind of go off and do their own thing. Probably not going to happen. This game has a lot. I feel like I haven't even scratched the surface of it. There's a lot going on in it. It is a game that I don't think I'll be able to play with most people because the game itself, frankly, the box isn't going to appeal to them. If I explain the game, it's not going to appeal to them. But if you like these deep, interesting, interactive, I mean, in-your-face style, where I'm going to come after you, and then there's auctioning in it. There's just a lot of things. There's nothing really that new in this game except the interplay between everything feels really well balanced. It feels like a war game designer said, you know what, I'm going to try my hand at economics. And this is the result. And this result, I like. Dice Tower Judgment, excellent!
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at Dicetowernetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.
Shut the door.